So for the NFL, I'm going to do one more quick thing and one last thing. 8679 at an application at 8354 was the buy-in of the MJ12 chairman in view of the Carter Page application in view of the dossier based on the TEDx talks of the HydroCore valuation upon my patent. In Western Michigan's master's program, the entrepreneurship major and minor moved to the College of Business from the College of Engineering. Under the entrepreneurship major and minor, the fourth best aeronuclear program in the nation that deals with aerospace engineering, biochemical weapons development, and industrial engineering, mutated into the College of Business, creating the number one ISM program in the nation and the number one sales program in the nation. These programs are the equivalent of MIT and Stanford. I, Zachary John Thayer, Eldon Anderson Ford, the Baron of Essex by birthright, do not understand that I have been awarded 6 bachelor's in a year and a half into a dual master's degree. Since leaving the university, Dolores Wall, also known as Grandma Alamo, through the relationship with Tom Carey, Dean K. Palin, Sarah Palin's aunt, and view of the state, and the view of Jackie Dunn Burnside, John Dunn is not understood in view of the Kennedys. Since leaving the university, including EDX, online learning, and what is known as the EDX Foundation, where you can take classes for free, pay $50 for a certificate, or use the interlibrary loan to use the ISBN number to be able to have the books for that class, have now been awarded 8 more bachelor's, 3 master's, and 2 PhDs through course curriculum from MIT, Yale, Harvard, Rutgers, Brown, and Caltech. In the view of the state, as I am trying to get into the Michael Scholars program and the Certain Wet program at the University of Berkeley. Certain Wet program at the University of Berkeley has the most tenured Nobels at any university in the country. It is the most, one out of every 5.8 million students that apply get it accepted into this. Dr. Williamson is living with it. Included in this means Dr. Akermoff and Dr. Yellen. This is the hardest environmental engineering program in the entire country. In the view of the state, I do not understand that HydroCore International, or HydroCore as it is known, a renewable energy design which takes 2 different applicational policy approaches. An octagon with 8 wind turbines, 1,000 solar panels, 2 Van de Graaff, with Ocean Technology, Pelmus Wavetech, C-State, I have a patent for a hydro turbine, is able to consolidate in a 3-dimensional view, vacuum pumping salt water, where it takes 1.583 kilowatts to boil 10 gallons to make 1 gallon of renewable water for commercial use. If the same design as 2 fishing docks with 40 yards between it, and you put a hydro turbine with a solar panel on top of it, I can produce at just under 40 yards or 120 feet the ability to make 250,000 kilowatts, or the ability to run a small hospital or med point in any third world country. As to what you call 2 labials in what you call the clit and the husbandry, the view of the woman is not in the historical society a business, a building, or more importantly, a renewable generator in the view of the design. In view of the state of California, I choose to augment this in the view of a requestment to Lake Berryessa and what is known as the UC Davis line in California's definition under Arkansas v. Delaware, and refitting boats in view of a hospital compared to condo, where at state parks could sell just under a half an acre to 5 acres, and ask that be a parking garage where the hydro turbine is the self-generation of electricity, and living on the boat is either the condo or more appropriately, the hospital. In San Francisco, this would mean reforming property rights and based on application. We do not understand this at all in any coastal water based on the application of Lopez v. the U.S. and a model of property integration. And in view of Ames construction, I can't ask that a gentleman understand that a cruise ship being made into a condo with a parking garage be wondered as state park land leasing rights based on predatory lending in the view of Seattle based on low income at a time that is wondered in view of property and population assessment issues in Mexico in view of Tijuana. When this is wondered to an electrical fence, the original model of the earthquake that was a 7.2 was supposed to strike San Diego, not a lower Mexico. When this is at all wondered in Trump v. Hawaii and Trump v. the Water Resource Board, we do not comprehend litigational application of proprietary lending based on this model. In third world countries, we do not understand this as standard deviation or the ability to provide renewable water and electricity to every third world country based on the valuation. This is the biggest land referendum and land property right request in the history of this country, based on county and state parks, based on the application of them having river and water, based on renewable energy designs. Based on this model, it's a blatant challenge of the Jones Act under the Hatch Act, justifying military application to the Water Resource Board based on model assessment and compliantary procedures. This changes the application of infrastructural development based on third world country compared to the selling of leasing rights at the county and at the state level. I, Zachary John, ask that the state understand that this is the view of the valuation. When this is at all wondered to Oakland, I do not understand asking the Ameses what's winning your divisional championship. Say that the 2.6 is the value of the Raiders. You want to create what is known as the WNBA team, known as the Pirates, and ask that it's Canny the Cannonball as the mascot, and say that you're asking a question to not only bring in a soccer team, but a WNBA team as well to the Oracle. You are purposely asking to bring in a WNBA team in an LFL league to the area. Ask that on Saturdays. Keep the Raiders in Oakland for Sundays, and ask that the WNBA team be the model for the during the week based on price point of application to the BART. An applicational view of the bus systems based on the MBTT authority agreement based on the Air Quality Control Act. In view of this model is also in subject that Napa County was requested to take a 6-commissioner vote request by the 44th president in view of land rights under Measure Q, Measure L, and the current bill, Proposal 2030, in view of Measure, it's like Measure S, I believe, in the view of the model system based on the property referendum. Now, this is not seen and based on understanding townships zoning applications in this view. At this application under Arkansas v. Delaware, I ask that the state identify this as blighten negligence in view of that model. This would be that augmented application. Dolores Wall, also known as Grandma Alamo, at the 86 price point at 207.19 is an exit point, justifying 100 to 300 mil at net worth of the MJ12 trim, making her currently worth 1.6 to 2.2, validating what is now known as the Chicago Promise. If this was identified in Oakland, that meant $2 billion is written to the Oakland Promise, asking that the Ames win the division championship, probably play for the World Series, and ask what another 2 is requested between the Eldon Andersons, the Foleys, ask that to the view of the Anderson Ziegler, the Anheisers, ask that to Larry Ellison, the Rockefellers, and in view of the state, Miss Gasser Lawson Jones, In view of land leasing rights, I do not understand this to islands off of the state of California. In view of that as property in detriment based on bond holdings of not only the BART but of the local school systems tied to the airport. This would be the questions that were identified through open source communication and direct communication with Ms. Gasser and the view of the state. Grandma Peaches, I choose to argue that blatant negligence by that of the Prestons in view of that to financial donation of Donald Trump and in view of his super PAC and the money that was made in Tesla going towards that. In the view of the state, what is known as Hospitals of the Valley, a coagulation and antitrust wonderment of North Bay, Ole, and view of Cardinal based on requirements are not seen as Berkeley does not have any wonderment in view of the state. This would not have been the ability to take Ole Health, the Queen of the Valley, the North Bay, and Allegiant as a coagulated wonderment in one entity, public. If this was able to go public with application, this would mean that with what you know as Napa Valley City College, the home of the grape growers, a Pac-13 entry, Pac-12 entry, the ability of $13.5 billion, 8.6 to 9.7 billion, and as much as 12.4 billion of the original property cost rehedged in a 5-year assessment. This would be the blatant negligence based on regulatory filings and Tri-County Regional Administration based on uses of applied force. Bob Minahan Mintran being a administrative assistant, a grade 1 to grade 2, upon completion of your notary license, your exam probability, and your real estate is not professional development. Not understood.